Don't miss out. Change these settings for a better Dragonflight. Let's see it. I'll see if I have all these.
No matter what, I almost guarantee you're going to learn something cool today. So, sometimes us vets take things for granted, and Dragonflight actually does add a whole bunch of new settings to the game. So, today I'm going to take you through the little tips and tweaks that will help you get more out of World of Warcraft. I actually use a bunch of things personally that are literally turned off by default and that the game doesn't even tell you about.
Okay.
Unlike today's sponsor.
Oh!
Us. It's us. Look, our patrons are a massive part of making this all possible. And
I need to play Bellure's game. I think, you know, like, we've watched so many Bellure videos. We should play his game. Like the, like, it's like as... We are? Yeah, I mean, like, when does that... I don't know if it's come out yet or not. I don't know. But, yeah, I feel like I want to play it and see what it's about. Because I watched, like, my understanding is, like, the one where they go out to sea and it's, like, the Antarctica. Like, this is based on real story. And I read stuff about it, and I watched, like, a video about it, too, back in the day. And I'd be curious to see how many things line up. Pale Beyond?
Here is
yeah,
this month's
well,
loot, and there's also a special, so you get even more. It's a hell of a lot, and it's all from our game development team. But hey, there's more. We've also got the Lore Walking podcast, where you will find hours of in-depth lore content, early access, of course, to upcoming videos, a few of which are there now, and it is the best way to help us out, and you get cool stuff in return. So, patrons, thank you, and if you would like to join up, then you can click that link below. This is new and it's great. Dragonflight adds interact functionality, which
so this is like how Lost Ark has press G to interact. Like, this is basically the same thing.
You press a keybind to interact with objects,
press E
be
in,
they NPCs, gathering materials, anything. Now, this means that you don't actually have to move your mouse and click on something.
Dark Souls, but I put
These little icons appear above NPCs to indicate which one the button will interact with and what it'll do.
Yeah.
Now, this defaulted to off for me, but I think it's pretty great. You've even got a sound cue for it too. I think this is something everyone should try. Hey!
I think it's also a really great accessibility option that also provides good value for all players if they want to use it.
You know, there's nothing wrong with lazy mode, especially if we're removing some clicks. I mean, I'm a productivity geek in PCs. I love removing mouse clicks if possible. And that is what action targeting, a new Dragonflight setting, does. Enable it, and you won't have to target enemies anymore. Your character will automatically attack what is in front of you, and with it having a slight highlight, you always know what you will automatically target.
Okay,
honestly,
that's cool.
I think this kind of makes the game just feel more responsive and fun. Now, there are cases where it won't be perfect, like, say, Mythic Plus, with a whole bunch of targets, and you've got one for a priority interrupt. Yeah, it's probably easier to click in their nameplate. But hey, if you are the sort of person who gets overwhelmed and maybe targets the wrong thing
I think this is really good for casual players. Like, these are things that are great for people that don't take the game super seriously. And like, also, like, I think about, like, really, if my mom was playing the game, she would use all of these things because she had bad eyesight. And it just simply makes the game better with no downsides.
A lot of the time, at least this would help you not violate the classic ABC rule of always be casting. Anyway, action targeting, good smashy fun, give it a shot. Similar to action targeting is scan targeting. This is a little known feature that was added in Legion, and essentially...
I thought it said scam targeting.
If you hold down the scan targeting key, whatever you bind it to,
they were gonna find
and
me
you
out.
move your camera, you will see a little, like, highlight preview of targets. And then when you release the key, it will target that highlighted target.
I see.
So it's almost like a manual version of the action targeting. Now, to be honest with you, I don't really use this personally.
Okay.
But if you were to tap its keybind, it
cool.
would make your character target whatever they are looking at, like in a straight line in front of them, or at least what your camera's looking at. And that might actually be quite useful. So
yeah, that's very useful.
Combined bags is a new setting that did not default to being turned on.
Is bag on still broken? Like, I was wondering about this. Like, yeah, is this shit still broke? Like, I don't know what the hell this is. No, thank God. Like, no, it's fixed. All right, let me see if I download that shit. Give me a second. I might just update all.
For me, use this and all your bags will be displayed as one. I think it looks far more clean personally. Now, you can also assign types of loot to certain bags. You can ignore some bags from the auto cleanup thingy. Some people will still want to use the add-on Bag On because it does have more features, but I think for many people, this new option will do the job.
I think that, like, for example, if I never used Bag On before and I started playing WoW, I probably would never install it. But, like, since I've used Bag On before and I'm already familiar with all the features, I just use it and keep using it.
Next, auto loot, but stick with me a second. Most of us have been enabling this for years, yes, but I just want to note that this works with the interact key. So that means if you defeat a whole bunch of mobs, they're all lying down in front of you. If your interact key was F, you just walk up to them, tap F, and you'll auto loot them.
That's
Combine
nice.
this with the fast loot option in the excellent Leatrix Plus add-on, and honestly, looting will never have felt better in World of Warcraft. Right, so I cover this a lot.
It's like at that point, I feel like they should just have the loot automatically go to your character.
More in my UI guide, but for TLDR, World of Warcraft now supports 8 action bars by default, up from 5, and bars 2 through 8 have custom visibility options. And also, be sure to enable show numbers
Loot
for
pets,
cooldowns. So yeah, that's basically it for action bars.
Yeah, have a 25 pet and a loot for you. That'd be cool.
This can be an absolutely killer feature. So sometimes, especially in a larger raid where you're all stacked up, it can be a bit hard to even see your own character, right? You can kind of get lost. And a little used feature that is great here is called Self-Raid Highlight. This lets you display a circle, an outline, or both around your character. Now, these take priority in the game's draw order, so that basically means you will see them through other game world objects. This is pretty awesome for always being able to see your character.
Yeah, I get lost sometimes with the raids because there's so much going on.
You can do similar for targets as well if you want just a little bit more visual reinforcement. Maybe it's also handy for frantic PvP or Mythic Plus situations. And on a quick note, if you sometimes find yourself losing your mouse cursor, you can actually make them bigger now in Dragonflight.
That's a great addition. That's
Next,
such good.
A newish feature that probably wasn't in the game when you last played. Click casting. This lets you bind spell casts to your mouse buttons rather than hotkeys. It's something most often used by healers who would often, they'd install an add-on called Click for this. For an example, if I left click a unit frame, I'll cast Renew on it. But if I middle click, I'll do Power Word Shield.
Wow.
Blizzard's implementation is limited to mouse keys only, though, so many people will still want to use the add-on Click. But still, this one actually
that's a huge addition. That's really good.
Does do the job for me.
Another
newish feature, mouse overcasting. I love this. So, look, previously people used to make macros that had the @mouse over parameter.
Yeah.
And while the macro method is still more powerful, we do have this as a more default option now. Turning this on will make it so that spells will, if you mouse over a target, cast on that target.
I don't like that. Personally, I never like this.
So let's just say there's an enemy over there. If you just move your mouse on them and hit a keybind, you'll attack that without you having to actually left click or tab to target that enemy.
Yeah, I think it's a playstyle type thing. For me, I'm not a fan of it, but I know a lot of other people enjoy it.
And this also works for unit frames too. Honestly, this just feels pretty damn good. It feels quite responsive. You maybe won't want it all the time, and if that is the case, you can have it work only if you're holding
It's good for healers, for like life grip or something.
There's actually a bunch of other casting settings, so let's go through them. Focus casting is simple enough. If you hold a modifier key, your spell will go to your focus target. This could maybe be useful in like maintaining a 2-target dot or something, maybe quickly throwing a heal to a tank. I don't use it though. Now there's also auto self-cast. This will default to self-casting if you are, targeting an enemy. So if you're targeting an enemy and use a heal, it'll heal you. But you can also set a self-cast key. And I actually found that was useful when I was playing the new Drakthir Evoker.
Because they can cast abilities on themselves that heal them and allies but damage enemies. Yeah, that makes sense.
Living Flame is both a healing and damaging spell.
Yeah.
So if I'm attacking, if I'm targeting an enemy and I hit Living Flame, it's going to default to hit the enemy and do some damage. So if I want to heal myself,
I will.
I just hold down the self-cast modifier, which is Alt, and then my Living Flame will heal me instead. Finally then, we've got press and hold casting. This is a nice RSI busting feature that basically will continually cast a spell while you're holding its key down. And this is surprisingly useful. you could say hold down the arcane shot key while you're casting aimed shot, and then
this is amazing. Oh my god. A turbo button, yeah, that's so good.
As soon as the aimed shot is cast, you'll immediately cast the arcane shot.
They need to have this for classic, so as soon as I start the fight, I can go AFK. I'll just put a rock on the key, and that's about it.
You'll be able to do that without button mashing. Because the way that it used to be is you just want to mash that button so that as soon as it's possible to start the cast, you'll start casting. That was like the way to get the lowest latency, I suppose. But somehow, I think the polling rate of your keyboard, or the polling rate of this feature, is, probably a lot faster than you're able to mash a key. Oh, and that I almost forgot, there are empowered abilities, right? Those are the Drakthir ones that can charge up. So there's two different modes. One of them is just hold to cast, so you hold, and then when you let go, it will cast. The other one is press to initiate, press to cast, where you press it once and the bar will start to fill up, and when you press again, it will cast the spell. And you can basically choose whichever one is most comfortable for you in the accessibility settings.
Okay,
I've been using Elv UI, an add-on, for so long that I actually forgot about this. But yeah, making the default raid frames be a bit more usable is good. Now, I always display class colors.
Yeah, I do
that
too.
is just especially useful to see things.
I don't want to get into it, but you guys know what I'm going to say. The raid frames were fine. Blizzard changed them. They made the setting that I used all the time no longer exist. I don't know why they did this. It needs to stop.
At a glance, right? So class colors, I think that's a must. You can also display main tank and assistant, which will usually in your raid group be your two tanks, which is really handy. Incoming heals, that's also really nice to see as well, as is the aggro highlight and showing dispellable debuffs. You can also then change how health text is displayed. These are really, really handy.
How's that?
And then, if you open edit mode and you select party frames, and then you click the option to show your party frames in the style of raid frames.
Oh yeah, I love this.
Those party frames will inherit all the settings I just talked about, and they'll also be nice and compact.
Yeah, and you can resize them separately from your
Warcraft
raid
can look
frames,
a bit
which is really
visually
nice.
washed out, right? Now this could be the way the game's shipping, it could be your monitor, who knows. But you can tweak the gamma, brightness, and contrast settings.
I might actually change this myself.
If you've got an NVIDIA graphics card, you can use their game filters for more fine control of the color settings.
Okay.
Some people just like a bit more saturation, and maybe WoW's default settings just mesh with your monitor in a weird way or something, and you just want more options to tweak. Well, you've got the basic settings in game, and you've got the NVIDIA filters.
Okay.
Now, I actually do believe that G-Shade or Reshade is possible for WoW, but yeah, that's an investigation for another day. This is an odd one to talk
I don't know a lot about
so
that.
they added the personal resource display in Legion, but then they basically abandoned any future development for it.
Of course.
Now, on the one hand, it is visually quite cool, the way that it follows your character, right? It always kind of keeps your eye, well, right underneath your character, which is a pretty vital place to see for gameplay info. I mean,
I use this a lot. I actually think it's super good. I even downloaded an add-on to make it exist in Classic WoW.
Good weak auras are sort of in that location. It also helps you track some of your cooldowns, so it does have these nice bits of functionality, but it's not quite finished. And you can't place the thing statically, meaning that unless your bars are at the very bottom of your screen, depending the way you move your camera,
it can be awkward.
The personal resource display may slide under your action bars, such as you can't see it. It's a bit silly. Now that said, people with a fully stock UI, who are not planning on doing hardcore things, for them, I think this is actually, pretty great option. Just maybe not for a lot of other players.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
I suppose
true.
Speaking of things that help make WoW feel a bit different, most people do use an add-on to control this setting, but you do have native controls for it. So this is the dynamic camera.
Oh, yeah, I remember Belluar made a video about this in Legion. This was like 4 years ago he was talking about this, 5 years ago.
Display here the console commands that tweak the dynamic camera.
Yeah.
Now, with this, you'll be able to activate what players call the action camera, right? And that just makes it all feel a bit more dynamic, right? Like it's offset
that makes
slightly
sense.
from your character to one of the two sides. It has just a lot of different parameters for how the camera moves, and overall, it's just trying to feel a little bit more like an action game instead of, an MMO where you've got this camera that is just, dead bolted.
Personally, like, I like how it is in the game because I've just played the game like this for so long, but I could see how this would make the game seem fresh in a different way. It's distracting, yeah. I feel like this is something that you do whenever you're doing world quests, not serious raids.
Onto your character. So it's kind of neat, but the thing is, you can then pair it with the action targeting and perhaps also the personal resource display. And if you use the just edit mode to make the rest of your UI a bit, immersive, you can actually get a version of World of Warcraft that feels quite different. One where, you don't have to target enemies. One where you don't have to move your mouse to loot something because you just use the interact key. It's very much not the default for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I think that overall these are improvements to the game for people that want to use them.
But it is a new option that is, I suppose, allowed via this constellation of new settings. It's maybe not ideal for raiding or anything like that, but I think it's great for immersion and, enjoying the big, beautiful world of Dragonflight. And it just does show us how powerful a few UX tweaks can be. And then for some miscellaneous things, you can block trade, guild, and chat channel invites.
I know
That's a very
that.
useful thing because newer players always get spammed with those. And I would also recommend that you leave the trade services chat channel because that's just a goal boosting channel.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that channel. That is the channel, like how Jesus was out in the desert and the devil was trying to tempt him? The devil is in that channel, okay?
That's what it is, and I think for most people that ends up being a bit of annoying clutter. Okay,
yeah, that's for boosty
there you have
boys.
it. That is a lot of the settings and things that I think you should take a look at and tweak. Maybe you won't use all of these. There is the legendary one of have projected textures turned on. There used to be instances where if that was not turned on,
you couldn't see
raid mechanics. Kind of daft. So ensure projected textures is on. But anyway, this is essentially just a bunch of nice little tweaks to the stock game because turns out there are plenty of features in the game that just a lot of people wouldn't really know about unless they went poking through and started testing things. So I figured if I've already done the testing, I may as well give you the lowdown and everything. So let me know if there's something that I've missed, if there's any handy little tweak that you really find to be central.
Let me link you guys a video.
But otherwise, I really hope you found today's video just to be nice and useful for you. Anyway, have a great time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
That was a great video. I like that a lot. I think some of these things I wasn't really sure about, like especially holding the button down for it to work. I had no idea about that. The same with the, I didn't know how the interact button worked with fishing, but now it does, yeah. Too many settings? No, too many settings is always better than too few settings. Let me see, so like when does, when does his game come out? Did it come out or not? Like, what is this? So I'm gonna look at Bellular Games, Wishlist, Pale Beyond. Yeah, when does this actually get released? Fuck. I guess it just still says wishlist, so it probably won't be out for a while. Okay, before the end of the year, supposedly? Okay, yeah, I mean, probably whenever it comes out, I'll have to play it. Yeah, it helps a lot of disabled people play. Yeah, I think that's what the big positive for it is it helps people that don't really have a lot of, the ability to do that stuff. It helps them actually play the game. Not gonna lie, for accessibility, these changes are nice. Yeah, there it is. A 2-hour demo. Yeah, I was hoping to play the whole game, Like, yeah, maybe try out the demo one day. Why not? It's good for controller play too. Yeah, getting ready for that fucking Microsoft acquisition.